Hello and welcome to a 50-cent tour of Wednesday, July 24th, 2013. Please find a seat on the Liberty Bus and we will begin our tour, which has quite a few stops today. The Monsanto video revolt is today. See Dan and Whitten. Love will defeat Monsanto and many others. If you have a minute or two and you have an iPhone or a camera in your laptop or whatever, maybe you can just make a brief video and upload it to YouTube saying why you don't like Monsanto. And this is part 2 of 3 British royals at an eyes wide shut satanic party. Yesterday I was talking about the royals and this came up, so I thought that I would refer to it. And this is an interesting article. It's kind of dark. Actually, this photograph reminded me of The Shining. If you've ever read the book or seen the mini-series, not the Jack Nicholson movie, but there's a mini-series that gives a lot more detail. It's pretty clear that Stephen King was writing about the elite in The Shining. The people who had the parties in the Overlook Hotel were clearly members of the elite and just had, they were just nasty people. So if you have a few minutes, this is kind of entertaining, kind of informative. And the Campaign for Liberty is asking people to take action to get in touch with Capitol Hill, NSA and Egypt amendments to DOD appropriations. So, they always try to sneak things through somewhere that we won't be aware of it. So if you have the time and the inclination, you want to take action in some significant way, this is one way. Here's a little bit of good news. I didn't save the good news for last today. It's kind of mixed in. New Hampshire becomes the 19th state to legalize medical marijuana. So that movement is definitely gaining some speed. This is not such good news. Anonymous Senator Dianne Feinstein has received over $698,244 from NSA affiliates in political donations since the formation of PRISM in 2000. So this is, and by affiliates, I'm guessing that's people who have made money in the program. So do these people care about America? Well, I think they care about their pocketbooks more. Rider in House bill seeks to let Dow keep spraying fluoride pesticide on our food. So, I've stated before, once again, if you want healthy food, either grow your own, and for goodness sake, don't use any pesticides made by these companies, or buy organic from a farmer that you know is conscientious about what he puts on his crops. NSA claims inability to search agency's own emails. Imagine that. They can search all of ours and all of the world's, I believe, but oops, they can't search their own. What do you know? Hey, if you want privacy, maybe you should have that. And Germans hail Snowden as NSA evokes Stasi seizing lives of others. In other words, people who have lived through this kind of oppression before, the oppression that's being placed upon us by the NSA, they're advocates of Snowden and what he's doing, because they understand the consequences. They understand what it's like to live under a microscope and to be in constant fear of having the government come down on you for something that you wrote or said. And because the Germans lived through that, they're very serious about oppression. People who have lived through oppression and tyranny can recognize it and respond against it. And Nazi hunting campaign kicks off in Germany. This might sound a little crazy, a little overboard, but we're taught to be so politically correct that we're not supposed to have an emotional or a strong response to anything, basically, except when it's for their convenience that they use commercials to get us to buy what they want us to buy. But there are issues about which becoming stirred up is a valid response, and the Germans understand that about the Nazis. And of course, if you look up Project Paperclip, it's easy to find a lot of information about the Nazis that came to the United States and were not a part of the Nuremberg trials. They were let off because they had something to offer to the cabal, essentially. And many of the people at the top in government at that time, not elected government necessarily, but the people who were in intelligence and really running things, many of them were Nazis and had embraced a Nazi ideology, even if they didn't wear, armbands that had the swastika on it. Top 10 things media isn't telling you. Nazi Fourth Reich in USA. So, as I said, it's easy to find a lot of information about Nazis in the U.S. And, that might explain this to some extent. Role reversal, how the U.S. became the USSR. It is amazing when you consider how we used to think of Russia. And if you read RT or watch RT, watch their videos, Russia Today, you grasp that their press is more free than our press. They have more objectivity and a broader perspective. And how did this happen? I grew up, I was born in the 50s. This is shocking when considering how terrified we were supposed to be of the USSR. And really, in many respects, there has been a role reversal, and we have lost the degree of freedom that we had, and the people in the USSR, in many respects, have gained it. Not that that's ideal. Not that I want to go live in Russia, but you can tell by RT that they are tolerant in some circumstances more than our government is tolerant. I use the word "our" gingerly. Coca-Cola facing huge class action lawsuit over alleged false claims for Vitaminwater. Read labels, read labels. So many things say all natural, and they're really not, or promote health, and they really don't. And here's another one. PepsiCo's naked juices have to drop all natural label after $9 million class action lawsuit. Yeah, I think at one time Naked may have been owned by somebody who, it was what it claimed to be, but Coke and Pepsi, they try to buy out natural drink companies. I think it was Pepsi that tried to buy out GT Dave's, and GT Dave refused to sell, and shortly after that, the kombucha was all pulled from the shelf. All the GT Dave's kombucha was pulled from the shelves because it supposedly needed to be labeled as an alcoholic beverage. So these people fight dirty, and they're not, all natural. Please. You think Coke or Pepsi make any all-natural products that are actually good for you? Not if they can help it. And I'm going to end with this today. As I said, the good news today was not at the end. This is important, and because Rumor Mill News is a Yahoo group, it's not that easy to have a link go to this. But this is very important, I believe. Asian Native American genes targeted, BHC 666 Agent Orange on steroids. When you think about, the Nazis want to kill the weak, sure, but they also want to kill anybody that competes with them. And Asian Native American people are strong, intelligent, solid people. Not that other people groups aren't, but there's tremendous value that will be lost. And I'm Caucasian, but I recognize if some of these other races were lost, we as a people would be suffering a terrible blow. And God Himself has created all the different kinds of people because it's for His pleasure, and He enjoys diversity, and you can see that when you look around in nature, the colors and the shapes, and He loves diversity, and we all have tremendous value. And of course, the Georgia Guidestones, these evil people want to kill everybody except themselves. But they have these attacks against certain genetic groups, and I just wanted to have this in here because of the other things I shared about Nazis. The desire to wipe people out is very much alive and very much one of the issues that is challenging all of us. And we just need to all join together and say no to these people. The Daily Tour is a presentation of She Who Will Walk in the Dark Productions, and we thank you for joining with us today for today's tour. Hope that you learned maybe something that you didn't know before, or hope that you became stirred up in a way that helps us all bring about liberty and justice. The dawn is coming, and weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So hoping that you will love one another, take care of yourselves and one another, and once again, insist on liberty.